Today, we're going to begin with the fifth and the last module of this course, which is romantic relationships in emerging adults. In the last four modules, we've covered majority of the theories that impact exploration of relationships. We've covered identity and its impact on relationships. Then we cover the practical implications of attachment theory and identity on our lives. And in the last module, we covered platonic and familial relationships and how they are developed during emerging adulthood. In today's module, we are going to be talking about how formation of intimate relationships is a very important developmental task and is a very integral part of identity formation during emerging adulthood. So this module is divided into three subtopics. First one is formation of romantic relationships. Second is modern relationships. And the third one is communication and conflict resolution. So let's begin with the first one, that is formation of romantic relationships and how that happens in emerging adulthood. Now, during emerging adulthood, the questions related to finding a soulmate or a life partner, somebody who you can count on, somebody who you can trust, someone who makes you feel special, comes about, and hence, people think about making the commitment to that particular person. Arnett suggested that this phase is a time for young people to explore their options in romance and in love, and to discover what kind of people they would eventually like to marry, to settle down with, and gain that relationship experience. Now, emerging adults have many possibilities and many kinds of options, and that these choices could have very serious consequences for their later life trajectories. That is, in later developmental stages, and hence it is very important for the establishment of stability and satisfaction, and also closeness in these romantic relationships. For later development, including marriage. Now, for firstly, romantic relationships in emerging adulthood are important for at least a few couple of reasons. First one is they are very crucial developmental tasks. So they're very crucial tasks in emerging adulthood. For example, you learn a lot from this. That is, you might learn how to terminate a physical or a psychologically abusive relationship, or you might learn to experience personal growth through different kinds of relationships and different kinds of experiences. Secondly, romantic relationships also help predict relationships and your relationship types in later developmental stages like marriage, and how that will affect you later on in adulthood. And lastly, from a very developmental perspective, it also helps us predict risk factors that could affect our relationships in later stages, like if it could lead to marital problems or it could lead to divorce, and hence this can be identified in premarital relationships and can be eventually worked upon. Now, coming to the factors that impact relationship formation in emerging adults, one of the most important factors here is familiarity. It plays a very crucial role in the formation of relationships, especially in this age. Now, as individuals transition into adulthood, they often develop relationships with people that they have been around their whole life, like people they've been with in school, in work, or in social groups, etc. And hence, familiarity here allows for comfort, and it allows for ease in the relationship, and it helps you navigate this in a much better manner because you know that person since a very long time. Another factor that affects is consensual validation. Now, emerging adults are drawn to people who share similar values and attributes as them. And when another person shares that similar kind of lifestyle or similar kind of beliefs, it provides you with that consensual validation. It When they mirror your beliefs, it reinforces your own ideas and your values and makes you feel understood and accepted in a relationship. This is particularly very important in young adulthood and emerging adulthood because this is a period that is marked by identity exploration and solidifying your own personal ideas and things that you believe in. The third important factor here would be physical attraction. Now, despite the significance of similarity and familiarity, physical attraction is something that provides the spark, the initial spark in a romantic relationship. And hence, when we come to the fourth factor, that's matching hypothesis, emerging adults tend to seek partner who match their level of attractiveness. So they look for people who are at the same level of their attractiveness, which is called as matching hypothesis. Now, this holds true only for early relationship stages or probably premarital stages, and can dynamically shift once the couple enters into marriage. Now, research has shown that in some marriages, rather than similarity, differences in attractiveness between partners has helped shape their behavior. That is, spouses behave more positively when wife is more attractive and more negatively when the husband is more attractive. So this here suggests that while similarity and attractiveness play critical roles early on, their influence may change over time when they enter into committed relationships. For emerging adulthood, this pattern underscores the complexity of how relationships are formed. Like, while familiarity, your shared values, your attractiveness can help you build the initial connection in a relationship, long term dynamics and long term commitments are based on factors like emotional compatibility and how couples are able to communicate with each other, how they're able to navigate these differences over time so as to maintain a relationship that lasts for a longer period of time. Now we come on to the next part, that is intimacy and emotional development. Now, what is intimacy? Intimacy is an interpersonal process that involves the communication of your personal feelings and and information to another person who responds warmly and sympathetically. Now, here we will be talking about six major types of intimacies. First one is physical intimacy, which involves hand holding, cuddling, etc. Then there is sexual kind of intimacy. Then there is energetic intimacy, which involves doing activities together, doing things that you like together, like going to concerts, going on hikes, going for coaster rides, going to museums, etc. Then the fourth kind of intimacy would be emotional intimacy, which is sharing feelings, going to therapy, appreciating the other person, and just being vulnerable in front of the other person. The fifth kind of intimacy would be mental intimacy, that is having intellectual conversation, connecting to each other on a level where you both feel understood and validated, and having taking classes together, etc. And the last kind of intimacy would be spiritual intimacy, which involves engaging in mindfulness, engaging in rituals. If a person is religious, then doing religious activities together, connecting with nature, yoga, stretching, etc. Then we come on to Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love. Like we talked about this earlier in module one, we learned how intimate relationships involve three major key components, that is intimacy, commitment, and passion. Now, intimacy reflects close friendships and emotional closeness, while passion and commitment are more related to romantic and long term aspects of love. And hence, in relationships, all of these three components are very essential for the love to grow and the love to thrive. And hence, there are different kinds of love that we talked about. There is liking, which involves only intimacy. There is companionate love, which involves intimacy as well as commitment. There is empty love, which involves just commitment. There is factious love, which involves passion and commitment. There is infatuation, which is passion. And then there's romantic love, which is passion as well as intimacy. And a combination of all of this is called as consummate love, which is the ultimate kind of love, which consists of all of the three major kinds of components, that is intimacy, passion, and commitment. Now we'll be talking about how Erickson's sixth stage of the psychosocial theory plays a role here. Now, for emerging adults, intimate relationships often require sacrifice, compromise, integration of their own identity with the other person's identity, and hence Erickson's sixth stage of psychosocial development, that is intimacy versus isolation, has highlighted the significance of intimacy in this developmental stage. Now, success in forming intimate relationships is possible only if individuals have successfully resolved the previous stage, that is the fifth stage, which over here is identity versus role confusion, which we've talked about in detail in the previous module. Now, a strong sense of identity developed during this adolescent period provides the emotional foundation for a person to develop intimacy into the later stages of life. Now, Erickson describes intimacy as finding oneself while losing oneself in another person, and it requires commitment to that. It requires commitment to that another person, and hence his idea of intimacy involves uh, like several different aspects. First is it involves a degree of selflessness. Now, it involves a sacrifice of one's own needs to those of the other person. Another component of this involves sexuality, is the experience of joint pleasure. That is when you're not just focusing on your own gratification, but also the gratification of the other person. Finally, there is deep devotion, marked by efforts to this is marked by efforts to fuse one's identity with the identity of your partner. But you have to be really careful here as to not to lose your individual identity and make your couple identity your sole like your major identity. And it's very essential for you to have uh, that difference and that separation between the two identities as well. And hence, starting romantic intimacy is a very key part of relationship exploration in emerging adulthood. Failure to navigate intimacy versus isolation, failure to navigate the stage leads to isolation and hence affects the partner and affects the relationship in very severe matters. Now, physical intimacy, social behavior, and mutual emotional support are very essential factors that eventually contribute to romantic relationships in emerging adults. Those with a firm sense of identity are better prepared to engage in these intimate relationships, as they are capable of being vulnerable. They are capable of balancing the complexities and the conflicts that arise out of a relationship. And hence, development in early adulthood often involves balancing the intimacy and the commitment on one hand, and balancing independence and freedom on the other hand. Because when you enter the stage of emerging adulthood, the independence and the freedom carries a person away, and hence it's very difficult to be able to experience that freedom and at the same time commit to something. So like we talked about, at the same time, individuals are trying to establish an identity. They face the challenges of their increasing independence from their parents, developing an intimate relationship with another individual, and continuing their friendship commitments. The extent to which these adults develop autonomy has important implications for them. For example, a young adult who has not sufficiently moved away from the parental ties may face difficulties in both their interpersonal relationships and in their career over time. Then we come on to the next part, which is how these relationships in emerging adulthood convert into something more permanent, something more long lasting, which is marriage. Now, the conversion of relationships during emerging adulthood into marriage, like adulthood into marriage in later stages, is a very complex process which is influenced by various personal, societal, and developmental factors. Now, one of the primary factors is emotional maturity. Now, during emerging adulthood, individuals are still forming the identities like we talked about in the last part. Successfully resolving the identity versus the role confusion stage is very crucial for building a solid foundation for your intimate relationships. Now, as emerging adults move into the late 20s and early 30s, they often have a stronger sense of self, which enhances their ability to commit to relationships and hence engage in marriage. Then the next factor which comes into place is compatibility and stability. Now, emerging adulthood is a period of experimentation, of exploration, during which individuals often date multiple people or engage in a lot of short-term relationships. However, these relationships that endure challenges demonstrate strong emotional bonds and involve shared values, shared goals, and compatibility, and are more likely to evolve into marriage. So, when a person is able to recognize who they are compatible with, what contributes to the relationship stability, especially for them in a relationship, they're able to continue that practice into the later relationships as well. Lastly, we come to societal and cultural norms. They also play a very significant role in relationships in emerging adulthood. Now, as marriage is often viewed as a cultural milestone or a traditional life goal, societal expectations here can influence when a couple decides to marry. However, like Arnett explained, emerging adulthood has caused a push in the traditional adulthood phase. It has pushed it down the line by a few years, and hence now people decide to marry only after engaging in cohabitation, that is living together for a while, or they marry much later on in their life, and hence these societal and cultural norms also affect marriage. So, marriage is also viewed as a capstone. It's like is viewed as a capstone to well-established personal and professional life. That is, you eventually marry someone when you know that your professional life and your personal life, like your goals of your professional and your personal life, have been met. So, many individuals in emerging adulthood prioritize their education, their career, and their personal growth over marriage. As a result, relationships formed during this time may remain in the exploration or cohabitation stage until both the partners feel ready to prioritize marriage altogether. So, in the next part of this module, that is in the next video, we will be talking about how modern relationships and affect the relationship exploration in these in these emerging adults. In today's time, with the increase of technology, the definition of a relationship has changed a lot from a traditional relationship. It has changed to a modern relationship, which involves factors that did not exist a few years ago. So, in the next video, we will be discovering and understanding all of these aspects. Thank you.